Paul, welcome to Focus on the Fun Stuff. I am so excited to have you here today.
Thank you.
I know that we're going to get stuck into lots of implementable strategies and learnings from you on digital marketing, on digital business growth, because you are a digital business growth specialist. Yep. We've worked together actually previously, haven't we? We've known each other for a really long time now, generally from the KPI Daniel Priestley community. But I was really excited when you reached out to me because I know you're going to have an angle here that we haven't explored before. So you have the growth guys who are digital marketing specialists. That's one of your businesses. And then you also have socialpitch.ai.
That's right, yeah.
So newish business. We're going to get into that as well because I know it's going to be an absolute hack for like lots of business owners who are thinking, I need a full-time social media content curator or something.
Pretty much, yeah.
But you are a digital marketing specialist, but I know that your background to this place was kind of not like completely different, but you are pulling some of that learnings through now into what you're doing. So you just tell us, how did you get to be the founder of a digital marketing agency?
Completely by accident. No, I mean some of it was on purpose. But I was I was working in a travel company. Mm-hmm. I was a buyer and like sort of like working with suppliers with that travel company.
Right.
And I got really inspired when I started listening to like Tim Ferriss and even Jordan Platten, who's like an agency specialist, like digital marketing agency specialist. And I listened to his book, and I went back after listening to those, and I went to my boss then, my MD, and I said, "We need to be marketing. We're not doing any marketing." And she turned around to me and said, "We don't need to market really. We're B2B." And I didn't really. Yeah, I know.
Sounds stupid that now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does a little bit, but it's not her fault for saying that. It's like that's kind of like that's just not what she was used to, and I understand that now. But I thought to myself, if she's feeling like that, how many other people are feeling like that as well, or that's their thought? Mm-hmm. But I tried like knocking on the door in that company of trying to start a marketing department for that business.
So there was no marketing activity going on, really?
Not really. I mean, there was a lot of networking. There was a lot of going to events and sponsoring events, which technically is marketing. But there was no sort of digital presence. There was no real, let's use LinkedIn to its fullest potential and things like that. So I put together a bit of a plan, which I was given permission to do from the person that is now the MD. And I put all that together, but then my manager turned around to me and was just like, "Paul, I need to tell you, like, if you want to come and do this marketing shit, you're going to have to just go do it somewhere else. It's like, you're not really going to get anywhere here by doing that." And that gave me a bit of a kick up the arse, really, because I was just like, I'm kind of knocking on a door that's not going to open.
Right. And what was the book that you said that you'd written? I haven't heard of this guy before. John, what was his name? The marketing specialist.
Jordan Platten.
Jordan, right? Sorry,
yeah,
I'd read his book. Person.
It was a book called The 15-Minute Agency.
Oh right, okay.
Really good book. Just kind of like my first foray.
Yeah,
into
like
sort of
opened your mind into this is possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'd picked it off the shelf like completely by accident. On the digital shelf, that is Amazon, by the way. So I was like knocking on this door that is just not going to open. And then something happened internally, which actually resulted in me sort of being made redundant from the company.
Right.
Won't go into it. Had plenty of therapy sessions about it.
They really didn't want that marketing department, did they?
No, they really didn't, and just got rid of me. But I'm really grateful for it. Mm-hmm. Really grateful for it now, and it's one of those things because literally within the next 2 weeks after being made redundant, I made 3 calls like within an hour of being made redundant. One to my wife, one to my best friend Carl, who's now my business partner.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise that. Right.
It was like, well, me and Carl go way back. Mm-hmm. Like we've been best friends for the best part of 20 years.
Wow.
We've been in bands together. We've been each other's best man. All kinds of stuff. Like we've been through life like together so far. So it just made sense to like start a business with your best mate. But he'd been in an e-commerce business and was just coming out of that the time I got made redundant. So it was really timely.
Right.
But I made 3 phone calls that day, and the third one was to a solicitor to help me, which actually was a friend's
phone call.
dad. Yeah, very the practical phone call, the whingy phone call, the emotional phone call, and then the practical one. Anyway, me and Carl met up in a Starbucks like literally a few days after that had happened, and I was like, mate, I've got an idea for a business. Should we do this? And he was like, love it. Yeah, I'm just coming out of this, and I've been thinking about this for a while. I'd love to be the guys that people go to for growth online. And I was like, oh, well, that's what it should be called. And he went, what? I was like, the growth guys. I was like, he's like, yeah, like it.
Amazing.
And I can, you can smell like the aroma of coffee, and it's just like we're all a bit high and what have you on coffee to be, And within like a couple of hours, we had a business name, a proposition, how we're different, a logo, which ironically was created on Canva, obviously, in the beginning, which is actually an actual no-no now, but created on Canva in 5 minutes. And then weirdly, 2 weeks later, BT rebranded. And their logo is exactly the same as ours in terms of style. And they spent 7 figures on the whole rebranding thing. Might have even been 8 figures. Yeah, so and that was it, really. We had it all set up. And we had our first couple of clients within a couple of weeks. And then about 3 months later, COVID hit. Probably more than that, 4 or 5 months. And obviously, we weren't bringing much money in the business.
Yeah.
So I got a night job at Tesco.
Really?
Yeah, it was mint. It was brilliant, honestly. I was just there stacking pasta and pickles and what have you. I was actually known as Pasta Pickle Paul because that was my aisle, genuinely.
So you actually were stacking those things.
I was
it wasn't just
No, honestly, that was my aisle.
That
was my domain. I took ownership. So I was doing nights, stacking shelves and then working on the business during the day, and it was knackering because I had a 2-year-old son at the time, and it was like, so I was like going to bed at like 8 a.m, waking up at 3, doing like 6 hours, and then break for something to eat, and then go back to work at 10.
Bloody hell!
It was great. I really enjoyed it. But while I was stacking the shelves, I was just listening to audiobook after audiobook after podcast after podcast, and it was amazing. And I'd been put onto this book by a mate called Josh, who runs an agency in Leeds. And he's like, you really need to listen to this book. I was like, all right, okay, another one. He's like, it's oversubscribed by Daniel Priestley. I was just like, all right, I'll give it a go. Read it, loved it.
It is.
Listened to it back to back 3 times. Read everything else. Showed my business partner. I was just like, Carl, you need to listen to this. This is amazing. We should do this. And he listened to it. Was like loving it. We read 24 Assets together. We were like, right, this is a checklist. We need all these things.
It is brilliant, that book, 'cause it's so implementable, isn't it? You just have to work your way through
it.
Yeah,
it's like literally a blueprint for how to become valuable. It's amazing. Anyway, we put it on our Instagram. We put it on our story saying, oh, we're building our business like this, and with a picture of the book, and tagged Daniel in it. And he responded. He replied to our story saying, guys, we need to talk.
Really? It came from that?
Came from that. And I went, oh, shit. He's going to sue us. Like IP infringement. We're going to prison. We're going to get cut off before we've even started. And it couldn't have been more opposite, really. And it was like, right, what are you turning over? What are you going to do? What's the plan, guys? And then I'd written down on a piece of paper while he was talking to Carl, and I'm like there in the background.
Is this like a note you passed to Carl?
Yeah, but I was like, I reckon he wants to invest. Passed it over to him like that, and he was just like, nah, mate. And he went, right, here's the deal, guys. And I was just like, ooh, that's amazing. So it literally had my new sort of entrepreneurial hero, investing in the business.
This is like a dream story.
It was, genuinely. I mean, we were working out of my mate's conservatory.
Oh my God, I'd never realised this was the stuff. Because I know obviously Daniel became an investor in the business, but wow.
Well, we clearly filled the gap in the group of companies that he was building at the time. So,
but also, I'm sure there were and are lots of digital agencies that have gone on, Keepers of Influence, and there'll be lots of people in his in his environment. Definitely, that's a fantastic story.
Yeah, well, that was the Growth Guy's origin story, and it was amazing, and immediately that was paying dividends because we were getting introduced to FTSE 100 companies, and you should speak to these guys. And we did a little bit of work with Dent, and got onto the KPI course as well, and did that a couple of times, refreshed myself, and like he ran a boardroom for a while, and that was really cool as well, and just being in the same room as some of those conversations was really amazing, and I think I just had it was like an MBA on steroids. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, and can I ask you a question, which definitely is coming from me, because I've also had some conversations with Daniel like that, and just in your life when big opportunities come along, there's definitely like a line in the sand, I feel like, where you can either go, this is it, I am worthy of this, I'm going all in, or you can kind of think, Jesus, like I'm stacking shelves in the evening, and I've only just started, and like I'm stepping into this arena that can feel. Do you know? It's like you and Carl clearly went, we're all in, we're going for it. Do you know? Was there ever a kind of a feeling of, oh my goodness, this is like going forward so quickly now? Do you know?
If I'm honest, no.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, I think a bit of imposter syndrome maybe set in a little bit later when I'm like doing the KPI course and going, oh, this is everything that I need to do. Yeah. But I'm just so overwhelmed with it.
Because there is a lot of actual work to do, isn't there? It never ends KPI.
And that's why I did it in 2 parts.
Nice.
But no, never really felt it. And that's kind of like, fast forward sort of like 5-6 years, that's kind of like why I'm thinking about sort of small businesses and, the roles that we play. And, there's no way you can master all those roles.
No.
There's no way you were born to be all those roles.
Yeah.
You've just got to have the confidence and the adaptability to step into those roles, and you've got to perform them. And with confidence, otherwise, you've got to take bold action. Otherwise, no one believes you.
Oh, I love that. I feel like in that, I didn't know about this story, actually. We didn't talk about this prior, but this story's just got so many lessons in it for me. Like, you do just need to go, I am in, this is me, this is what I'm meant to be doing.
Well, could you afford to say no in that position?
Yeah, totally. Well, I do feel like some people would screw it up. They'd be like, oh, do you know what I mean? It's just...
Well, it's weird though, because so as obviously through Daniel, we met David Horn.
Who's their FD, isn't he? CFO,
CFO, and he's now CFO of socialpitch.ai, which is incredible. So we've got David, and then I read his book, Add Then Multiply.
Yeah. And
there was a bit in that book which really resonated, and it's almost like I'd read that book before that conversation with Daniel, and he talks about equity, and it's like, it's the only real bargaining tool you have when you're a young business. Play around with it. Give some away. You can't afford to pay someone like Daniel to mentor you. So that's what we did. It was like the equity was the only thing we really had. I mean, we were working in a conservatory, for God's sake. Amazing tans, I might add. But conservatory all the same.
Oh my goodness. So because when we worked together, I can't remember what year that was, maybe 2021. You had a team, but I remember as we worked together, that team was growing as well.
It was. The team's really sort of contracted. Like we've had a big team, we've gone down to small team, and then AI got released.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I've got like another 500 people. It's amazing. So we're quite conscious about who we hire now. Yeah. So it's, we like to stay lean. But at the same time, we've got this amazing technology around us, which is like the new internet.
Yeah.
But far more useful.
Yeah.
And we've had team members. We've had some horror stories with staff, like genuinely.
Which we all do. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is called focus on the fun stuff, and just managing people is not fun.
No.
In the most part.
No, I think definitely as business owners, I don't think most of us were ever meant to manage them. That's why you need to bring people in who are better
for sure.
at it.
Yeah, there are natural born managers out there,
Yeah.
and let them get on with it. But
Yeah.
for me and Carl, like that's just not a thing.
Totally.
Yeah, we've got some horror stories. Some horror stories. To the point, actually, one in particular, it was a guy that we brought in, and he was ex-Google.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, oh, wow, we're bringing ex-Google in. He's going to change our business.
I can imagine the whole thing you build up around it.
He effed it all up.
Really?
Oh, we lost 2 major clients because of him. And we were like, what's going on? We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, let him time to sort of have time to embed and settle in, and he just wasn't. He was trying to have relations with our staff.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. And then we had one particular day, which was a horrible day, and we were chasing him up on some client work and saying, look, what can we do here? You know, what would you advise? And he just went, nothing. Well, we can't say nothing, can we? Like, we've got to do something for him. What would you suggest? If it was you, what would you do? Like, he's like, I've just effing told you, nothing. And I was like, whoa, don't speak to me like that. And he just stood up and was like, you're bloody disrespecting me, bro, and all this kind of stuff. The rest of the staff are there in the room. I'm like, okay, are we doing this? Is this a thing? And he's there and he's like, you're a joke, this, that, and the other. Points at Carl. He's like, I feel sorry for you, mate. And I'm like, I just repeated the question he asked.
Yeah, why are you getting on to me?
I just reworded the question, mate.
Oh,
He clearly had a thing for me, like against me. And I was just like, fine, whatever. Anyway, he went on and on and on. I'm sat on the corner of a desk and he's like, in my face. And then he was like, oh, bloody quit. And I was like, oh, thank God you just said that.
Yeah.
Now
I don't need a lot of time.
Now I don't need to get lawyers. This is great. Bye.
Oh my gosh.
That makes me sound like a terrible employer, doesn't it?
No, not at all. Not at all. Everybody's got those stories. And I feel like you've done a lot in a very short space of time.
Oh, I feel like I've aged like 20 years. And that, you know, most people say you get the wrinkles around your eyes because of having kids. And it's like, no, this is a business that's done this to me. Yeah. Kids are a joy. Business.
So, what I'm getting out of this, so obviously the podcast is about a focus on the fun stuff. And I know that you work with I know you've worked with some unbelievable businesses. You've most recently worked with Team GB for the Olympics, like managing the e-commerce, the paid ads to the e-commerce store. Unbelievable clients.
On that one, by the way, how we got that is just insane. Like, we got that through cold email. Like,
interesting.
We built this tool. Just as AI was coming out,
tell me more about this.
Honestly, it was insane. Like, just as AI was came out, we were like, oh, let's plug some stuff together and like build like this really crap tool, which was just cold email at scale, but really hyper personalized to people. Now it's kind of, you see it everywhere, don't you?
Well, I've literally just signed up with Instantly.ai.
The
similar thing,
it was exactly that, except we'd plugged like loads of things off the shelf and put them together, and it just looked like a really bodged up car, basically. But it worked.
Yeah.
And we sent loads of emails off, like, you know, just a normal sort of cold email sequence.
Yeah.
Got a reply from a e-commerce fulfillment house down in the south of England. And he said, probably not for us. However, one of my clients would be really interested in this, I think. And we're like, oh, okay. And Josh, who was working for us at the time, went, you probably want to take this call, mate. I was just like, really? Can you not just qualify it? He's like, no, you're going to need to be on this. It needs founder level sales call. I was like, okay. Anyway, talking to this guy, and he was like, yeah, my client's Team GB. And we did this for the Olympics 4 years ago. Would like to use you guys for that. I was like, yeah, okay, you were right, Josh. That's fine, yeah. Then it came through, and we started in February last year, and then the contract ended around sort of September. So it was a real burst.
Yeah.
But my God, so worth it. Yeah.
A couple of episodes ago, we've just recorded this morning an episode with Kennedy, who's talking all about email marketing, just on the cold email, because I think, like, we love it at MyPA. We pick niches, we get data, and we warm them up and tell them about all the good stuff we do, and I create some videos, and it's nothing like, it's not particularly technical and expertise in it. It's just literally us creating relationships. So just on, like, if anybody's not done it before or thinking about it, and obviously we all then get lots of cold emails, which we go delete, and we don't want to be like that person, and we don't want to do that. But as a strategy, it is, I mean, I've even been at talks where people go, email is dead, and it's definitely not. But like, as a strategy, it is unbelievable, isn't it?
Insane.
I mean, I think it's high volume, isn't it, for the hit rate?
For sure, it's numbers game, yeah.
But is that something you use on an ongoing basis as part of your marketing toolkit, if you like. Yeah,
we have to. I mean, very, very similarly to you, we pick, niches. So predominantly we work with e-commerce businesses. But we'll pick niches like pet care, motor industry, women's fashion, whatever. And we'll go on a campaign. It's very much the sort of, 3-month campaign style thing and see what comes back. And okay, that didn't work, on to the next. And or, keep warming that up. We've had a couple of bites, but cold email or, just email outreach in general, it's a numbers game, but it's consistency. Yeah. But it's also subject matter, it's context and content. If you're just hitting them up going, would you like 5 more calls or 5 more leads a day? That's boring. Yeah. You got to stand out. Yeah. So, one thing that we quite like doing is like a sort of 5 email sequence, which is intro, deeper intro with a problem that we solve, case study, and then ask.
Amazing.
And that seems to work for us. And
then after they ask, do you continue to, like those that are opening, read it? Do you continue to keep?
Yeah, so we monitor those. So we look at opens, click-throughs, who's clicking on what. My opinion, I think there's like because it is completely GDPR compliant because it's with a business interest.
Yes. So, I'm glad you mentioned that because so many people get stuck in the weeds with that, don't they?
Yeah, rightly so because it's really complex.
Yeah, but actually a business address, and especially because most of this stuff is all found online anyway.
It's in the public domain for sure.
It's like it is not GDPR compliant, is it? Yeah, totally.
Exactly. And if you ever get anyone sort of like threatening to sue you, which we've had many times, you just send them a copy of the GDPR thing, and now you can actually make sense of it through ChatGPT, really. And it's like here's a 2-line concise summation of what GDPR compliant means. But yeah, it's all about context and content, really. You've got to make sure that you're standing out, and it's got to deliver substance. But buying data, no problem with it. Yeah, if it's in the public domain, why not?
Yeah,
if you're so bothered about it, hide yourself away. But you're going to be closed off to opportunity and great suppliers.
Definitely. I'm so glad you've mentioned that because I feel like it has a bad rap, but actually done well, it's just something else that can run, bringing in rhythmic leads if you've got enough volume and you keep it going.
One thing I would say, and it's probably a bit of a warning, is that don't just rely on it as a single channel because it isn't really that predictable.
Yeah.
You've got to be right place, right time, right person, right message. And probably everything else has to fall in line as well. So it's a real sort of like, it's everything has got to fall in line for it to work. But when you get that one great client, like we got Team GB by accident, that was great.
Yeah, no, totally. That is awesome that you've mentioned that because we had a client who signed up last summer, and we'd actually done a niche campaign to people in like real estate and property, estate agents, property, that kind of thing. We had a client who signed up last summer. He'd been, and when we traced it back, he'd come from that initial scrape. He'd been on the list for maybe 2.5 years, reading the emails, opening my TV as it was, opening the podcast emails. And actually he was an independent property developer that was just doing his own thing, and he needed PA support, but it's not a quick gratification in terms of I need customers right now, but it definitely is part of your toolkit, if you like, of stuff going on. It's really brilliant, isn't it?
Look at it as part of your toolkit, and everything plays a part. It's just wondering, you've got to look at what we call product channel fit, making sure that your product, your offering, your proposition is right for that channel. Yeah. So sometimes paid ads isn't right for everybody. And we'll tell people if it's not, and cold emails the same. Yeah, so you have amazing clients like Team GB, like FTSE 100 companies. You also have SMEs, smaller businesses, and I think just for the purpose of this podcast, if there's any, so a lot of business owners are tasked with doing the marketing, aren't they, and getting stuck in the weeds with that and trying to learn everything because there's always a shiny new thing that's now the thing. I remember, I feel like 12 months ago, 18 months ago, I feel like TikTok, everyone was talking about that. If you weren't doing stuff on TikTok, you were missing out. No. But it's definitely
it's just not the right place for everyone, is it?
No.
But then everybody shifts their attention, or they're like, oh God, I need to figure this out. When actually, from your perspective of working with this mixture of clients, what is your advice to smaller business owners in terms of how I get started, what I should focus on in my business?
Yeah, and it's one of those that it definitely depends. But if I was giving blanket advice to small businesses, start with a single channel and test it. You've got to have an open mind. So, but I wouldn't even say testing. It's more around hypothesis. Like, you've got to have a measurable statement that you can go and then test. So, if you're for a local business and you're selling accounting services, it's not potentially the most exciting thing to sell, and it's probably not quite right for TikTok, but you could probably do well on TikTok through educational content and making it novel, but it might not deliver you loads of leads. Networking's great if you're a local accountancy business. Cold email's great for accountancy, although it is, again, right place, right time. The general advice is you got to find the channels that work for you and what you can put time in. And I think that's why, something like your services is really helpful, because they do need to wear loads of hats. And marketing is a massive hat to wear, because there's multiple hats underneath that.
There is.
There's paid ads, there's cold email, there's networking, copywriting, everything.
Yeah.
And marketing is a huge role. So it depends on how you want to do that and how you want to step into those roles. But my opinion is, generally, I think most businesses need to be marketing led. Like, it needs to be marketing first approach to everything. Figure out everything else later, because if you're not marketing, you're not selling. You're not selling, you've got no revenue. No revenue means no staff. No staff means no tasks and all that kind of stuff. And
it's
all downstream from there, yeah.
Because definitely getting stuck in the weeds, you then, you're more likely reactive firefighting. You're not actually carving out any time to do the stuff that gets you the customers, the cash flow.
Yeah.
Like, everything is...
Marketing
Daniel
can be
Priestley
fun.
says, doesn't he, everything is downstream from lead generation?
Yes, yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, mention him nearly every episode of this podcast. I'm going to have to start.
He's going to need royalties in this.
I'm going to have to start dealing with him. But it is so true.
You are open to sponsorship.
Yeah. Because I do think with that comes an element of confidence, doesn't it? Once you have rhythm in that area of marketing, leads, conversion, sale, God, like...
Confidence is everything, though. And I realised this recently. Confidence is in everything we do, but confidence is it's a bundled term. Confidence, you're not born with it. It's a skill, and you got to learn it. And there's two different types of confidence. There's situational confidence, where it's like you just put yourself into that situation and just gain confidence immediately. Otherwise, you're gonna get lost.
Yeah.
And then there's the earned confidence. Do things enough times, you become confident. It's no one's born to do things incredibly well. It's very rare. So you got to put yourself in those positions to be confident. Do things over and over again. Put in the reps, and you become confident. Same with small businesses and marketing, finance, everything. Do things enough, and you become confident with it.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I looked at Xero as a piece of software. I was like, what the hell is this? I am not touching that. 6 months later, that's a piece of...
That is so true.
Yeah.
My experience with Xero is completely the same. Had no clue. Now I'm like, I get this.
Yeah.
I know what I should be looking at.
Yeah, I know how to pull up my P&L and my management accounts like at a moment's notice. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. The getting good at stuff, I think, can be a real obstacle for people, can't it? Because it just to clarify, it's the same for all of us. You feel it's like overwhelming when you don't know, does it? And it feels like a big step to get to. But how am I going to know to start to send good cold emails? Well, your first one is going to be crap, isn't it? But you'll just get better, and it's so true. You have to put in the reps to do that.
You got to be all right with failing as well.
Yeah.
It's. I come from like a performance background, so I've done like theatre, acting, being in a metal band for years, and you're gonna fuck up.
Yeah.
It's just, how do you deal with it? And it's I was reading recently the 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene.
Oh,
incredible book. Recommend it highly. And one of those laws is enter everything with bold action, because it's easier to get out of the mistakes when it's bold and audacious and so just go into everything like quite boldly and just go, I fucked up, whatever.
Yeah,
it's fine.
On to the
no
next.
one died.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. It's just you got to enter everything with bold action and confidence, and otherwise you just what's the point?
So, speaking of bold action, then you've started another business recently. And
Why? Why have I done this?
An AI business.
Yeah.
So, will you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I feel like it will also be incredibly on the radar of lots of our listeners who don't have a marketing department, who don't feel like they know what they're doing with content and socials.
Yeah, this is exactly who it's for. It's called socialpitch.ai, and essentially it's if you are a small business coach, consultant, you work on your own, you don't have the resources to be able to spend loads of time marketing, this is there to help you. And the difference with this tool is, because there's loads of things on the market that will help you do content.
Yeah.
I could name probably 30 competitors off the top of my head. The difference with this one is it works pretty much like this. You have a conversation, you get your expertise out through interview,
Right.
but you're interviewing yourself via video.
Oh, wow.
And you're compiling your own interview questions. You're answering questions about your business, like why did you start? What are you really good at? Who do you help? Even things like, what was your first hurdle in business? Or, loads of different questions, and you can compile your own interview. The AI will then take that video recording, very similarly to like something like Opus Clip or Descript or whatever, and it'll turn it into hundreds and hundreds of pieces of content for you to just sift through, review. Yep, like that one, I'll post that one and maybe tweak that a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
But it's just going to, because I don't know about you, but I learn through doing.
Yeah,
like I'm
same.
very much like action based. So if I'm just talking to myself via video and just rambling on and on and on, and then I've got something like AI, which is taking the best bits of what I've just said, turning it into marketing material and collateral, great. Oh. So that's the thing, but it's video first. So it's a video first platform, and you don't need to post the videos because I know a lot of people are not confident about being on video. My answer to that was just do it.
Yeah, totally.
Get on video. It's a great way to build connection, authenticity, show you the true you, and rather than hiding behind text. I don't think hiding behind text is the right term, but I think video is.
Oh, it connects in a different way,
does,
doesn't it? Totally.
For sure. So that's the reason behind it. Really, is to help those small businesses, not get left behind. I did a bit of a sort of an impromptu video the other day, and I just genuinely think AI is like the biggest equalizer for small businesses. You can pay 20 quid a month for an AI tool, and it costs the same whether you're doing 100 grand a year or $1 billion a year. It's the same thing. It's like the iPhone. Yeah. I saw that example recently. I can't remember who said it. Probably Daniel. I think it might have been actually.
Probably was.
But anyway, but the iPhone, it's not a signifier of wealth anymore.
Yeah.
A billionaire can use one, and someone who's got a couple of hundred quid in the bank can use one.
Yeah.
AI is the same thing. You can use it. It's general purpose, general release, 20 quid a month, and you can have the same output as $1 billion company. Incredible. And all we want to do is bring that tool to small businesses who can then use that for a specific purpose, but just getting their message out there, their expertise out.
Yeah, I love that. And because you hit the nail on the head, we're in a very special time at the moment, aren't we? Because honestly, the amount of, I think AI, everyone is talking about it, but they're not. They're not at all.
Yeah.
Like, there's only this really tiny percentage of people. The other day, I was in a coffee shop with my boyfriend, and there's this guy that we talked to. He's exited a business before. He now has a lot of free time. He just drinks coffee and he does what he wants.
Nice.
Didn't even know what AI was. Like, didn't even know what ChatGPT was. And so when I have like conversations like that, I become very aware that actually as small business owners, and we're kind of, listening to Daniel's or Nigel Bottrell's or all of the people that we listen to, we're in this really special place now where we can harness stuff that's going to amplify. It's like you said before we were starting the podcast, like ChatGPT's like another 500 employees. It's just... It can be, I guess, overwhelming and a bit, what's going to happen with it? And I totally get that also. But right now, we're in a really special time, aren't we?
It's amazing, like genuinely amazing. I feel grateful that I'm around to witness like this, because I was too young really to appreciate the internet coming around. And this is like the next big thing.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, it's a craze, and yeah, it will die down a little bit. But if you look at the adoption of any technology in history, there's always your sort of innovators and your evangelists. Then you've got your early adopters, and we're only in that stage yet. You know, we're only in the early adoption stage.
Yeah.
After that, there's a chasm, and past the chasm is mass adoption.
Yeah.
So anyone using AI now, you've got an advantage.
Yeah.
And anyone building on AI and releasing AI tools, or your own LLMs or whatever you're doing, you've got an advantage, and it's a real special time. I don't think it's a bubble, much to what other people are saying, because I think we're yet to really see the true power of AI.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Yeah, there's ethical questions, there's all sorts, and I constantly wrestle with them. But it's happening. I'm just one person using that. I might not change the course of action with AI, and that's fine.
Yeah, no, totally. In terms of from a marketing perspective, obviously you've got social pitch. Are there any other key things that you think other business owners might not know about, or that you're using also that are like, wow, this is really...
I mean, it's hard to even think what you're using, because, I mean, I would have to probably bring up my bank statement and go through my subscriptions list. And it's like,
that's so true. It gets out
my
of control,
accountant telling me off, like,
yeah.
that needs to be below 40% of your overall thing, Paul. Like, okay. Yeah, I'll sign up for that. I'll sign up for that. It's mint.
Yeah, totally the same.
But I think I think we're in a bit of a time when it comes to marketing your business specifically. I think there is something that is kind of like on the top of my mind right now, and it's because we've kind of gone from being really creative led to then really data led, and then or we'll go back to creative again. And actually, even small businesses need to be thinking a bit of both. So, and we call this our head and heart methodology.
Right.
So heart is high performing assets, engagement, attribution, revenue, and technology, all the things you build within your business to become eligible to grow online. And then the head is just our process, which is hypothesize, evaluate, hypothesize, execute, analyze, and debrief, or develop. And it's there to represent the two sides of marketing. You've got loads of really creative people, and then you've got really data-led people. And I think the people that win are in that sort of intersection of the two, because you've got to have data to support the next move that you make in marketing, to go, that worked. Why did it work? The data tells us it worked because of click-through rates, whatever. That's going to be our next step now. But you need the creative because it emotionally resonates with people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what I'm kind of pushing with people at the moment, is like, yes, it's great being creative. I'm a creative person, but I have to learn to be a little bit more data-led as well, because the data doesn't lie.
Yeah, I love that. And that is something I'm literally in the middle of right now. So I have always been creative-led. Like, I love speaking to people, providing value. I love helping people. But now, as we are starting to do more marketing with either Facebook ads or even like the money spent on cold email, like the actual, I guess, optimizing and improving on the numbers is everything, isn't it? Because the small increases across the board, whether it's on your click-throughs or your lead conversion to call, and it's just the gain of it can be astronomical as it all kind of adds up, doesn't it?
It is, especially when you're doing mass numbers.
Yeah.
Like a 1% improvement is a huge gain, like especially if you're doing, thousands of emails a day on cold email. And that's why we have our head process, which, we need to put out a hypothesis. We need to understand, what is it we're going to do? Why do we think this will work? And we're going out to prove ourselves wrong, by the way. We're being a bit sort of scientific with it. We want a hypothesis that we can prove wrong. Then we're going to execute on it. So what does that need? What's our go-to-market strategy? How we're going to bring that to people? Then we analyze, this is the data, like what worked, what didn't, looking at all of that. And then the D, which is really important, is like, okay, so let's debrief on that. And do we go forward to the next step of developing that
Yeah.
and move forward? It's an iteration process.
Yeah.
And in something like paid ads, that's like every week.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
really important to go through that process. Otherwise, you
You
just kind of, here's money.
Yeah.
Give it all to Zuckerberg. It's fine.
Totally.
But yeah, I think creativity with that analytical mind, blending those together, and that's something that's quite important to us, the growth guys, specifically with paid media, because it is so, it's direct response marketing. Like you can literally put an ad out, and in a few days, you can get loads of data back to understand if it's going to work.
Yeah. Honestly, like I think, just got so much that's in my mind now from what you said, because I think Nigel Bottle's always said to me, like, ultimately it's marketing plus maths, like the two have got to be together. And I think so many business owners will just go, well, I need to get more leads in, or I'll do more stuff just to get more leads in without looking at the back end of it as well. And I think that's probably one of the places where people get stuck in the weeds. So like right now, I am the person who's looking at, so if we spend some money on Facebook ads, this is what we've had. But I think it gets to a level where when you said like if you're spending mass money or you're starting to get some real spend going through an ad, for me, that is a really great place to delegate to people like you, to like the growth guys who go, well, actually now I can take that responsibility and make sure we're absolutely like getting all of the juice out of every part of the process, because otherwise doing that properly is becomes quite difficult, doesn't it?
It's so important, like for instance, we're entrusted with millions a month in ad spend, and it's you have to be getting it right. I'm not saying we're going to get it right all the time, but you don't really have a lot of room for error, and that's why the data is so important, because at least then it's the whole thing back at school, isn't it? Like there's no point just getting the answer right, you got to show you're working out, and because that's half the point. Literally it's half the marks. So that's kind of the thinking, bringing that to it. So we have the process of being able to do the working out.
No, I totally get that. And I think like just at the very start of the journey, as you start to do marketing, there's certainly lots of tools now that can help you optimize, isn't there? Like I'm sure even putting the outputs from your latest, if you do a leaflet drop or if you've done some Facebook ads, putting it into ChatGPT and asking it to have a look at it and what does it think is going to pay dividends. I'm sure.
Thank you, Sam Altman. It is incredible. Like just the amount of data it can read, like, and it'll spot things that we can't spot. So I'm not saying we're going to be replaced, but we're so optimized. Like we're doing the job of probably a team of 5 media buyers, like just with one junior media buyer. They've got all these tools to be able to access now, and it's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
No, it really is. It is a very exciting time. We're drawing to the end of our time together-ish. There's a few minutes left. I guess like what are some key takeaways that you'd love people to take away from this episode if they are either in charge of the marketing? I know you mentioned before about being marketed-led, and that really sings to me, because when we've done that, the business has been a lot better than when we're stuck in the weeds. I guess it's predominantly smaller businesses listening to my podcast. What would be some key takeaways you'd want them to have?
First and foremost, don't be afraid to step into the roles that you need to play as a small business owner. If you need to do marketing, do it. You need to go to a networking event, do it. If you need to do your finance on a Friday night, do it. But do it with boldness and confidence, and be willing to adapt into those roles. And that's kind of like the methodology behind sort of being sort of performer-led. Think of it like an actor, like a musician, whatever. They just do it. Secondly, blending analytics with creativity. You've got to have a bit of both.
Yeah, you do.
So if you're leaning more on one side, try and balance yourself out with the other bit. And it sounds really corny, but you've really got to have fun with it. Like your business is not all-consuming. It shouldn't be all-consuming. It's there to have fun with. I think some people, I certainly did, for the first sort of 3-4 years of the business, like took it incredibly seriously. If I'd have had more fun with it, I think we might have been a bit further along, actually. So I look back on that and go, if I'd have had more fun,
where would we? What impact would that have had?
I think I'll let ego get in the way a lot as well at the beginning, especially given what what
Yeah, the
happened to
story that
us.
you had.
And so I think just like drop the ego. You're a small business, just hard work. But the thing is, you're not paid for the work that you do. Like, it's not hard work equals more money. It's everything else that you do. So have fun. You might as well.
Yeah, no, totally. And I do love that real piece around being bold in what you're doing. And I think there's been a real theme on the podcast today with the people I've interviewed, that they are walking the walk, or like they are, people talk about something, but they might not be doing it behind closed doors. But even like the story that I didn't realise that had happened, you are fully walking the walk of, oh my God, we're just like, even just, posting I feel like there's a real lesson in just posting the story with the book, tagging in Daniel, just sometimes the universe.
I'm not taking credit for that, by the way.
Was
that
it
was
Carl?
totally Carl.
Was it
Yeah.
Well done, Carl.
He did that. He did that. So it's all his fault.
But sometimes you just need, you need to let the universe know, don't you, that you are ready for this, that we're out there. You need to put yourself out there for good things to happen. And I think...
Well, it's that thing, isn't it? The more things you do, the luckier you get, kind of thing.
Oh my God.
Genuinely.
Yes, totally. So,
Same.
and that you did was apart from buying the book, was completely free, you didn't have to put any, there's no big campaign behind it, just putting yourself out there and getting in front of people, and generally people want to help, and just ask.
You got to be bold. You got to be bold.
I love that.
The more bold you are, I think people respect boldness
totally.
more. Like, if you go into it sort of quite timid, half-hearted, don't even go the whole way, I think that kind of says a lot, really. It's like, just do everything with a bit of boldness and be not brash, but
honestly,
confident.
you're totally right. People respect that when you actually just ask or say what you want, or I love that. I think it's a really, really key takeaway, because sometimes we can just hide behind the laptop, wondering when the next lead's going to come in, when actually we can just make some asks, can't we? And people will only say no, but at least 1 out of 10 is going to go, oh yeah, no, sure, let's have that call, or let's do something.
Just ask someone if they know someone.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't have to be a direct ask. Just go and ask somebody, do you know someone who might be interested in this service I've just launched?
Yeah.
Can you help the mate out? It's like, yeah, I will. That's fine.
Totally.
We didn't do enough of that in the beginning.
I feel like you did one big one, and then...
We did one massive
you
one.
didn't repeat it again.
But yeah, no, so that was a big ask, and then I don't even know if we asked. We
No,
just
I don't
kind of
think
put
you
it out
asked
there in
from
the
what you
universe.
said. You were just
really.
like, we like the book.
Yeah.
We're going to do this.
Yoo-hoo, we're here. And we've entered the room.
Oh, Paul, this has been absolutely awesome.
I really enjoyed that, yeah. That's nice.
I just want, where can people find you if they're interested in the social pitch, the amazing way to be able to get your story out into the world without without having to get a videographer, without having to book a studio, we're just in a really easy way.
Yeah, I'll just go add that as well. There's massive place for videographers and professionally made videos. Like, small businesses I know just can't afford some of the cinematic production ones. So this is there to build them up to get to that point. But Social Pitch hasn't even launched yet. We have a waiting list if people want to sign up. So it's waitlist.socialpitch.ai. We'll be launching sometime in April, maybe end of April. And then for the Growth Guys, it's just thegrowthguys.co.uk. We've been going around a while, so it's a far superior website than Social Pitches right now. So and then I'm just all over LinkedIn. I love that platform. So then they can find me just at, I think it's like /Paul-A-Fernandez or something like that.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
They'll find you.
Amazing.
Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you.